Lilith is the dark divine feminine goddess of sexuality, feminine empowerment, and sovereignty. Lilith is here to reawaken your wild woman. She is here to remind you that you are feral, that you came from this earth. She's not a love and light goddess. She is not a, oh, hey, honey, let me have a talk with you for a second. She doesn't do that. She is straightforward. She gets shit done. She does not sugarcoat. She comes at you full force because that is what she wants you to do in your life. Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about Lilith. Yes. So one of the cool things about the podcast here is, of course, I'm going to share my journey. Of course, I'm going to share things that I've been through, things that are going on for me, and some like deeper, things going on, or like concepts. But sometimes the time and the energy allows for just regular teaching of, some witchcraft concepts. The last week has been pure hell for me. I've been sick for about a week straight. So it is just one of those things. I was like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to talk about Lilith this week. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to come in and talk about Lilith because I wanted to. So we did start a new feature at Ink Goddess Creations this month. With a goddess of the month. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're Inked Goddess Creations. That's the name of my business. And that is, it's a callback to the fact that I used to be a tattoo artist. Yes. But it's Inked Goddess Creations. I have always, my whole belief path is goddess centered. I love focusing on the goddesses, and it just kind of hit me. I downloaded it doing something completely random here in the shop. You should do a goddess of the month. And that way we can teach about the different goddesses through the website. And I can do things like have podcast episodes about them. And we can have, blog posts about them. And then if we carry any products, aligned with them, then we can showcase those as well. So I literally had the idea last week, download, and by 2 days, 3 days later, this was in place. So because we do have some Lilith products coming up this weekend in our product launch, but it's February. Okay. So everyone is focusing on love. Everyone is focusing on romance. I'm here. I want to talk about Lilith. That she is the perfect goddess for the month of February in my eyes. Okay. So we're going to be going at this from the standpoint of Lilith as a dark goddess. Okay. I'm going to give you all some of the background and how she became known as this, and then her energies and her correspondences and everything, so that you can start to work with Lilith as the goddess of female empowerment, sovereignty, sexuality, sensuality, all of that, okay? Because she definitely gets a bad rap in other belief systems, okay? Okay, so the history of Lilith. The earliest known reference to Lilith dates back between 40 and 10 BC, when she was mentioned in passages in the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay? The Dead Sea Scrolls, basically lost books of the Bible, or the books of the Bible that they didn't want to put in the Bible because they taught people how to think for themselves. This is my purely biased interpretation of the Dead Sea Scrolls and any type of lost books of the Bible. These are the ones that, number one, promoted women as healthy figures and as role models, and we can't have that in Christianity. Number two, these are the things where they were told, you don't have to go to church to worship God. You can worship God sitting underneath a tree. So these type of things that led to free thinking and female empowerment were buried. They were buried. They were found in the Dead Sea. This particular Dead Sea Scroll was titled Songs for a Sage. Okay. So she was actually mentioned in here. She was also appears again in incantation bowls made by Jewish people living in Babylon between the 4th and 6th centuries AD. These bowls were specifically meant to ward her off, protecting the owners of the bowl from her influence. Okay. She starts appearing regularly in Jewish literature after 500 AD. And in the Babylonian Talmud, she is called a hot, fiery female who first cohabitated with man. Okay. So basically, this is what happened. We're going to go into it here in a second too, but I like to just kind of tell it. I do have notes. I have a lot of notes this time. So let me just say real quick, her name is reminiscent of the Mesopotamian demons called the Lilu. And you're going to have to excuse any pronunciations I get wrong here. I apologize. Okay. So these Lilu are a group of entities born from young people who were born before they could have children. Okay. The female versions of these demons was known as the Lilithu, and her identity as a demonic entity was later cemented in Jewish folklore. Okay. In the 13th century versions of her story, and this is where I like to just go off script, Lilith was Adam's first wife. So Lilith and Adam were created equally, and they were put into the Garden of Eden, and they were like, okay, you're going to rule the Garden of Eden equally. And the story goes, the myth goes, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The myth goes, they went to have sex one night and she was like, hey, I want to be on top. And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, that's not going to happen. And she's like, no, I want to be on top. And he's like, no. You're the woman and you're supposed to be subservient to me. And she was like, the fuck I am. So she was cast out of Eden and then demonized. It was said that she went and had sex with a bunch of demons and had a bunch of half-demon children. And basically all this is Christian or Judaism turning an independent, strong woman who just wants equality into a demon. They're demonizing her and turning her into the most horrible thing that can ever, walk the earth, which is a sexually empowered woman, So that's the way I like to tell the story. Let's go to the notes real quick, just so that I'm getting things factually correct for you all. So Lilith was made from the same clay that Adam was, so equals, but she refused to be subservient to him because she wanted to be on top during sex sometimes, and he demanded that she leave. Angels tried to bring her back to the Garden of Eden, but once she had sex with the archangel Samael, because it's not Samuel, Samael, Samael, she refused to return. In many versions of the story, Lilith then declared she would destroy Adam's children and his descendants as an act of revenge. Something. I mean, she's angry, But anyway, in modern interpretations, Lilith has evolved from a feared demon figure into a powerful symbol of feminine autonomy, sexual sovereignty, and resistance to patriarchal control. Okay? So that is her origin story. What she has, like in modern day terms, she has evolved so amazingly into a dark goddess of feminine empowerment, sexuality, owning your power and owning your sensuality, owning your dark feminine self. Okay. And this is what she is associated with. This is how you can work with Lilith. Okay. You can work with Lilith for things like feminine empowerment, for reclaiming your sovereignty, for standing up to the patriarchy, for, anything, reclaiming your sexuality, reclaiming your sensuality, knowing who the fuck you are. That's what Lilith has become for me in my life. She, so side note here, but also still applicable. I would say my matron goddesses 100% are Rhiannon and Bridget and Morgan Le Fay and Mary Magdalene. But I did a workshop about Black Moon Lilith, which is not only an astrology, it's like an asteroid in your astrological chart, but it was the embodiment of the dark feminine, okay? And ever since I've been working with dark feminine energy, Lilith has come across so strongly for me that I 100% honor her. Normally I am wearing, if you notice in past episodes, especially the most recent episodes of the last couple of months, I have been wearing what looks like a dragon necklaces, and it's actually Lilith dancing with a winged serpent. I just happened to switch to this one. This is my original necklace. If you're watching on YouTube, this is the original necklace that I have had for, this necklace is older than one of my kids. It's since the beginning, because I have been sick for a week and I really needed to kind of go back to my roots. So I chose to wear my original goddess necklace from, 24 years ago, 23 years ago. But I've been wearing a Lilith necklace for months now, because she has been helping me with reclaiming my feminine self, reclaiming my dark feminine self, reclaiming my sexuality, reclaiming my voice as a woman. So these are the types of ways that you can work with Lilith. I will let you know too, and I'm sure I've talked about it somewhere here on the podcast. If you're in the Ink Spirit Coven, I know that we talked about it during the deities lesson years ago. But you want to ask before you start working with a goddess. There's a goddess, gods, anything like that. They may say no. They may say, no, I don't want to work with you. It was made very apparent to me years ago. We used to have a subscription box called the Divine Goddess Box. And every month was a new goddess. I would teach people about a new goddess. And so what I would have to do is I would go into meditation and try to connect with these goddesses. And the ones and I would tell them very respectfully, I am connecting with you to tell your story. I want to share your story with our customers. So, do you want your story told? If so, please let me know. And that's how we have a lot of the goddess line that we still carry to this day, is because that's the relationship, or that's how I entered in. Now, most of the goddesses, because this subscription box went on for over a year, so we're talking, it might have been 2 years, so like 24 goddesses or close to that. A lot of them were like, okay, I'm here to tell you my story, and then that's it. We don't need to work together anymore. And I'm like, cool, sweet. Lilith was one of those who opened the doorway for me and then just left it open. And so very much throughout the years, she's been in meditations, kind of hiding in the background, and it's been amazing. And so I would say she's definitely coming to the forefront for me. And I love it. Her energy for me is very strong. It's she's empowering women. That's what she does, So Lilith is the dark divine feminine goddess of sexuality, feminine empowerment, and sovereignty. Okay. Many witches now work with Lilith as a dark goddess who exudes unapologetic self-expression and embodied power. Okay. That is what she stands for. Owning your power, standing up for yourself, speaking your truth, living your life. That is what Lilith is all about. So even if it has nothing to do with your sexuality or your sensuality, these are ways that she loves to work with women, okay? Another thing that I heard, a couple of months ago on a podcast somewhere, was Lilith is here to reawaken your wild woman. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so true. That is what she does. She is here to remind you that you are feral, that you came from this earth. And when she shows up for you, or if you decide to work with her, I will say this, she's not a love and light goddess. She is not a, oh, hey, honey, let me have a talk with you for a second. You know, like, hey, so you could like really stand up for yourself over here. She doesn't do that. She is straightforward. Okay. She gets shit done. She does not sugarcoat. She comes at you full force because that is what she wants you to do in your life, is come full force at things, okay? Especially when it is your sovereignty, standing up for yourself and owning your power. So she does not beat around the bush. She does not sugarcoat. So if you are going to work with Lilith, you have got to understand that she is a dark goddess, and therefore people, places, things that are no longer working for you will be shoved out of the way. She will shove them out of the way. They will be removed from your life as you're working for her. These toxic people, these toxic situations, these places where you are constantly compromising your wild woman self or who you truly are, she's going to move them. She's going to shine the light on them for you too, so that you can move them yourself. And then if you don't, she's going to do it for you. Okay. Honoring Lilith often focuses on the themes of sexuality, independence, shadow work, and reclaiming personal power. Okay. She is, I know that there are so many goddesses out there about reclaiming personal power. You know, Rhiannon is my goddess of sovereignty, which is personal power and knowing my worth. But Lilith is like the one that gets to the core the quickest. She wants you to know who the fuck you are. And Lilith wants you to claim the wild woman that lives within you and be her. Okay. So here's some of the symbols. These are ways that you can, if you wanted to set up a Lilith altar, again, I highly recommend trying to open up a conversation with her first, whether in meditation or even writing a letter. You know, speaking out loud. I love to talk to people. Like, that's just my thing. I love to talk to my goddesses, trees, cats, birds outside, rocks, anything. I'll talk to anything. But they're listening. They're always listening. Okay. So, but these are ways, like, ask for permission or say, hey, I would like to open up the door to working with you. And then immediately, like, once you establish this relationship with them, don't just immediately ask them for shit. You know, that's disrespectful. So have a relationship with a deity for a little while before you go, hey, can you help me with this? But also she'll let you know 100% when it's time to move to that next level of y'all's relationship. Okay. She's going to tell you, like, okay, she'll even ask sometimes, like, what do you want? Or she kind of just knows, and then she just pushes you in that direction. But these are some of her correspondences. She is associated with screech owls and serpents, which is why I definitely at least made sure I was wearing my snake earrings today. These are my favorite earrings ever. So yes, she's associated with screech owls and serpents or snakes. She is associated with the colors black and red. Her herbs include dragon's blood, jasmine, sandalwood, mugwort, belladonna, poppy, and a black or red rose. Her symbols include the dark moon. There is a Lilith glyph and a Lilith seal. So those are, if you wanted to look those up. I will say that generally speaking, because Lilith is seen as a demon in, you know, some belief systems, a lot of the glyphs, the seals, things like that are to call upon the demon Lilith for, like, you know, people like witches or magicians that work with demonology. So I've never used a Lilith glyph or Lilith seal or anything in any of my working with her, because that's not an aspect of her that I want to work with, or that I acknowledge, because I'll say it like that. I don't acknowledge Lilith as a demon. I believe that she was demonized by the church, because she was a strong, independent woman that wanted to own her sexuality. So I don't view Lilith as a demon. Okay. So I know a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies, Supernatural did it. The one with Kevin Bacon where he was a bounty hunter of demons. They did it everywhere that you generally see Lilith in like pop culture references. She's been made a demon. Okay, and I don't see that as a version of her, because I see her as an empowered woman who just took her own sexuality and her own life into her hands and asserted that. And the men were like, no, you're out of here. Well, we're just going to tell everyone that you're like a slut that slept with a bunch of demons. Okay. Because I mean, that's what guys do, right? So anyway, you can see some old high school ones coming up, right? Food and drink she's associated with red wine, honey, pomegranates, and apples. Gems and minerals include clay, because she was made of clay, bloodstone, moonstone, obsidian, and jet. Okay. So many practitioners choose to honor Lilith through ritual tools, altar items, and devotional offerings that align with her dark feminine and sensual energy. Okay. For me, I do have a snake on my altar now. As a really cute one, a little blue chalcedony snake with a cave that I got at the gym show, and I can't sell it. It went on my altar for Lilith. I very heavily resonate with snakes, or associate her with snakes and apples, because of the Garden of Eden as well. So those are my go-tos. I know that she has a screech owl. There are some myths where she's associated with an owl as well. I personally have never worked with her and her owl aspect. So for me, it has always been snakes. But I also associate the awakening of dark divine feminine energy with serpents as well, because it's like the Kundalini rising. That's a snake that rises your energy throughout your body. So yeah, I've always just associated her with snakes. So when I started having snakes pop up in my life a lot, I know that for me, Lilith is reaching out to me. She's trying to get me. There's some part of my power as a woman that I am either, how do I say it? Like outsourcing, or counting on someone else to do something for me, or not owning my power. So I know that when snakes start to show up, I'm getting ready to go through a transformation, number one. But number two, it's Lilith reaching out to me to let me know either, hey, your power is leaking somewhere, or you've given it over to someone, or prepare yourself because we're going on a ride. And then some transformation happens. So yes, I very much associate her with apples and snakes. Okay. Just to let you know too, here at Ink Goddess Creations, we have her signature scent that I created when I went into meditation, like I was telling you all at the beginning. When I went into meditation for Lilith to be a goddess of the month, her signature scent is patchouli, apple, and amber. So any things that you get from us, whether it's a mist or a goddess oil, are going to come with that scent. And then we also have a gemstone bracelet set. We do have a tea. We have an altar card, a coin, all kinds of stuff that you can get. So you can find those at inkgoddesscreations.com. Okay. That's really all I had for you all today. In fact, I'm super excited that I made it over the 20-minute mark. Just because, yeah, it has been a crazy week for me. But I'm here, I'm at work, I'm getting stuff done, and I definitely didn't want to leave you all hanging for a week. So the Patreon bonus content for this week is a Book of Shadows of what I just told you all. So it's a Lilith Book of Shadows page, it's a couple of pages. But that's over at patreon.com/inkedgoddesscreations. And what my Patreon is a way for you to just show your appreciation for me as a witchy content creator. Okay. The money does go to me. It doesn't go to like the business. So it's kind of like, I guess you could call it my side hustle, even though it's still associated with the business and everything. But yeah, the bottom tier is just $5 a month. That gets you the podcast bonus content. Sometimes it's an extra little 15-minute episode, 10 to 15-minute episode. Sometimes it's Book of Shadow pages, sometimes it's worksheets. I've been having a lot of fun just kind of doing different things. But for this episode, it's going to be what I went over today in Book of Shadow form, PDF form, so you can print it out, add it to your Book of Shadows. So please head to the website, inkgoddesscreations.com. You will see at the, just scroll down on the front page a little bit, you'll see Goddess of the Month. If you click on that, you can go to not only all the blog posts that reference Lilith, but also the products that we carry that are either specifically made for her, or like we have like a dark feminine Reclaim Your Sovereignty set, which is associated with Lilith. So that's why it's there. We also have the Serpent's Kiss altar cloth, because that's heavy. It's black and red. So like if you wanted to set up a Lilith altar, you could definitely use that as 2 intertwined snakes, but it's black and red. So it would heavily honor her. But yeah, head to inkgoddesscreations.com to see all of that. And if you do love my vibe, the way that I teach, we are getting ready to switch over in the Ink Spirit Coven to the new year of curriculum. I will definitely have more information next week. But I will tell you now that starting in March, our curriculum is all feral witchcraft based. Yes, and I do have some new surprises, some new things that I'm working on as well. That will be made an announcement probably later this week or early next week, that has to do with the coven as well. But you can head to inkspirit.com to learn more and join. Although you might want to wait, normally as a business owner, I shouldn't tell you to wait to purchase things, but wait until after the announcement to make your purchase into the coven. Unless you wanted to be there for this week's make your own charm casting kit workshop, then of course join now. But I have some things coming up next week too for the new year that I'll let you know. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here, for being listeners. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, because it lets the algorithm know that you value this information and my podcast, and it sends it out to more people. So thank you for being here, for giving me a platform to share my knowledge and my story. And I will see you all next week. Bye.